Well, spawn spirits of the north, Kente, hummingbird spirit, you who knows the dance of invisibility. Come to us and bring us our ancestors. Show us how to create Aine, sacred reciprocity in all of our relationships to bring us to the proper alignment with right thought and right action. Hayaya.
And become aware that your fire is not the only fire that's burning. Become aware of the hearts.
Not only is there this bringing up of the sex energy, but there is this bringing down of this heavenly force as well. And they can intermingle in the heart. What we're discovering is that the heart is kind of like this engine. It is a place that emits such a powerful electromagnetic field that it can be felt from great distances. If God is everything, then we must also be a manifestation of God. Therefore, literally, I am God, you are God, we are all that. So there is no difference between the two of us. We're all a manifestation of that one consciousness. And so if that force is infinitely creative, then we are a part of that infinitely creative force. Do we waste the energy that we have innate within us? Or do we allow it to nourish us? Do we cultivate it? We can all feel that with certain relationships, right? We've all had a relationship where it was just exhausting to be in, or where we felt like less of ourselves when we were in it. And there's all kinds of energy that's being wasted there and that we're feeling drained by. Hopefully, we've all also had relationships where we felt a container there, where there was a feedback happening, of refinement, an exchange. So we're the same with ourselves. The nourishing, cultivating, the refinement of that energy happens in our relationship with ourselves. We talk about sexual energy being a creative energy. Physically, if a sperm and an egg meet, you've got new life. That's incredibly powerful. So the energy that's behind that, the physical force, if the physical part can create a new life, what can the energy create? When the vibration ripples through our cells and we program ourselves with those specific intentions, we are entraining in ourselves a belief that all is possible. I lost my girlfriend, I had lost my health, I had lost my sense of community from expulsion, I had lost my idea of my family unit from my parents' divorce. And so everything that I thought that I could project my identity onto, it felt like all the flesh had come off of my bones, and there felt like this place of void within me. And I just remember inwardly screaming into that void, why the fuck am I alive? Why am I here? Why the human race? Why this ball of mud in this corner of the universe at this time in human history? Who am I? Why am I here? What's my purpose? I learned later, these are all very important questions to ask. But I'll never forget, there was this, in the silence following that, there was this voice that came from the void. And this is probably one of the first soul encounters of my life. And this voice said, you're a teacher, you're a healer, you're an artist. You're a teacher, you're a healer, you're an artist. So my life, ever since then, has been figuring out what that means and how to embody that, and I have stuck to it. Those glimpses of soul, and we all have those glimpses of soul if we're calling them in, if we're listening for them, if we're asking those questions, the universe will answer you. And that's the thing, guys, is that life does tell us who we really are. We just have to listen, really believe that the messages that we're getting are real. So soul, centric masculinity. masculinity, authentic masculinity. I'm like rooted in my purpose, showing up in presence and creativity and this like power rooted in consciously loving. That's fantastic. Fierce love, powerful compassion, cool, man. How do I do that? There is more that's captured in a symbol that reflects the truths of nature than we can really get a glimpse at. So what we're going to be doing in a very short period of time after we go through a little exercise with each other is we're going to be coming into contact with symbols of the authentic masculine, archetypes of the authentic masculine, the king, the warrior, the magician, and the lover, and then we're going to be embodying, calling in those archetypes in a shamanic dance that I've prepared for you. I want you to share what your relationship with masculinity is in your life, whether that's your masculinity or the masculinity that you maybe have learned from other people. Just what is masculinity in your life? And based on what you've heard today, how do you feel that you can embody your masculinity a little more consciously and authentically?
So I think that I identify as female, but I have a lot of masculinity within me, particularly when I am performing. Because that's me taking space, especially in dance. I'm always willing to be like in front of the stage and bringing life out from other people.
What spells can you cast? What ceremonies can you facilitate? Move your magic into being, your body. Breathe deeply. Drop down into your lower chakras and feel your sensuality. Tune into your emotional body. Bring to bed a little sexy feelings stay flowing through you, making love to the moment. From a variety of different wisdom traditions, including Taoist inner alchemy, Qigong, Andean shamanism, as well as Tantric yoga. And so for me, a lot of my practice is coming back to my breath and coming back to my body, such that I can honor the fullness of my present experience. And once I can get real, with where I am in my body, how much tension I'm carrying, and relax that, where I am in my emotional state, what I'm feeling and what needs to be resolved, what needs to be calmed or honored in the realm of the emotions, then finally there's this place of quiet where the present moment calls forth, what we really need to do in that moment. So for me, in that space of presence, I will run energy. I will invite breath to open up the full vibrancy of life force in my own being. And in that state of full aliveness, filled with the energy of life, open up to intuition and the consciousness that is beyond the thought mind, to understand how best to show up, not just in this moment, but in this day, or in a particular relationship, or whatever is truly happening, for us in life. We can tap into the knowledge and the wisdom that is beyond the rational, logical process of thought, to have a greater grasp of how we can live in alignment with a higher sense of self. And so my practice in large part is cultivating that connection to a higher sense of self. And so my approach to doing that is very intuitive. I use different tools at different times depending on where I am. And when I work with my clients as well, not everybody there's no one size fits all approach to embodiment for everyone. We all have to drop into the present moment, but different people need different things. So I will tune into the vibration of whoever is in front of me to have the intuitions of what they really need in that moment, and give them exactly what they can use to find the presence and intuitive connection and full aliveness that can best serve them in their life and what they're creating.
What are you creating in your life? What is your intention? Channel your intention into your movement. Allow it to take on a life of its own. How fast is fast? How slow is slow? What do your fingers and toes have to say? Or your elbows and knees? Your shoulders, your hips, your neck. Free to feel like.
And maybe beginning to pump your Kegel muscles, getting that energy in your sex center, beginning to flow it through your body as you dance.
So this work is an effort to explore what masculinity is at the level of soul, such that we can redefine it in terms that serve humanity. Maybe you could think of it in terms of an empire. If the empire is expanding into different territories, it's dominating the villages or whatever that are at the borders of its nation, then it's slowly expanding. And that's something that masculine energy wants to do, is expand. But rather than a paradigm of domination over others, the authentic masculine, I posit, is a dominion within oneself. An expansion that is internal rather than external. And that's not to say you can't harness masculine energy to build an incredible business, or make a lot of money, or create something outside of oneself. But that at a deeper level, what it truly is, to be masculine in a soul-centric way rather than an ego-centric way, is to expand within oneself and turn that energy of domination inward to a dominion over the heart, and a presiding in the heart as if one was a king,
we're a queen, to sit on the throne of heart consciousness such that we can be balanced individuals and to lovingly be with other people, to truly be present in love, power, and wisdom.
Feel yourself infinitely creative. How can you move your body? Feel virile, feel powerful. Feel like you can create anything. What would it be like to move your body to bestow blessings into this full space? To bless all the people here in this room. It's a way of saying thank you. Being exactly who you are. Knowing that we're here. Not being for you. What laws keep law? How can you express what you most believe in your movements in this place, in this time? You have a heart. You also have a weapon. What do you care about most? What do you feel an inextricable sense of duty towards to defend at all costs in your life? It's okay to be a little fierce here. It's okay to be sad. Discipline, you have training, you have mastery over your mind and body. Also have capacity to destroy. What is through it? What needs to go? Let it go. Shut the
Daniel talked to us about the archetypes of the king, the warrior, the magician, and the lover. And I'm familiar with those archetypes. And the two that I'm most comfortable with were the lover and the magician. The king and the warrior were the hardest for me.
What is it like to sit on the throne of your heart consciousness? To lead from your heart, to live your life as if your life is a kingdom.
Because I've always thought of warriors as being violent, but when we were doing the warrior dance, one of the things Daniel asked us to do was to imagine cutting through whatever it was. And as I was moving around the room and like this, it was a sense of cutting through the bullshit in my life, cutting through the limitations and the fears and all the expectations that I had for myself, cutting through my judgments about not being good enough. And it was like wielding not just a sword but a lightsaber, because I consider myself a Jedi in training, eternally in training. So walking around the room with these other people was like we're cutting through. The other cool thing about the workshop, because of the title, there were more men than women, and in events like this are usually more women than men. And I don't know how many men are actually at Interfusion, but there are a fair number here. And it felt really good to be in that safe masculine energy, because we're taught, and a lot of men are taught, that to be masculine isn't safe, that it's scary to be, have to be on, to have to take charge, to have to cut through, all the whatever it is to perform. And as a cisgender woman, I've taken that on myself. And I think you and I might have talked about this, that it's hard for me to surrender and be stereotypically feminine, which doesn't have to be weak. It just means allowing the masculine to support me too.
but yeah, this weekend, building up to Saturday, the first webinar, showing people what is going to be offered in this group coaching program that I'm doing. I haven't settled for good on this title, but what seems to be coming through is becoming the king. So I'm excited about it because I'm really passionate about this work, the king and the warrior and the magician and the lover, and what happens when we balance all of these aspects. Yeah, that one. Yeah. And so really it's about, I don't have that book with me, but like holding that book and this book and saying, what is the ultimate expression of the archetypal embodiment and the philosophy of authentic masculinity?
Dan, I thought of you so much this past week because with my session with Michelle, she was kind of having me do some like feminine movement, and all of a sudden she goes, "Let your masculine lead." And when she said that, I was like, and it just blew my mind. And I was like, whoa. And then your face came into my head and I was like, I need to talk to Dan about this. So, and then I saw your post and I was like, oh my God, it's all happening. So,
Awesome.
Yeah. It's just, this work is so needed right now. Like, yes, the feminine is resurfacing and that's lovely, but like, it's a healing of this wounded masculine too, that a lot of people, it's like we kind of leave that by the wayside. We kind of focus on the oppression of women, which is, each one needs the attention and love and healing. So I just love this work and I'm so excited for you. Yeah.
Thank you for reflecting that. It brings up like a piece of my own story, which is that, like I started this work being motivated and inspired to serve the feminine and to contribute toward the healing of the feminine. And it was only, maybe a couple of years ago that the message came through really strongly that big part of the direction of my career would go into helping the healing and integration, the empowerment in a conscious way of the masculine. And that was probably one of the most important things to contribute to the healing of the feminine.
Staying present with your body, being with your body.
Things that improve the realm of finances or relationships or our health. All of those things emanate from that essence that we feel. If we're connected to that bigger picture, then those things seem to follow as a matter of course.
Exactly.
A few months ago, I did this house blessing despacho for this woman. And her whole family was there. She had just moved into a new apartment. And we did the ceremony in this new home. But within the week after the ceremony, her old house, which had been on the market for 13 years, sold like that. And she as crazy, she messaged me and was like, thank you. I'm positive that it was this ceremony that created the alignment for that to happen. And I was just like, wow, pretty crazy.
It works.
Yeah, yes, energy is real.
chao sang gat te pa ti sen ba pora sang dai in ti kai ta ma ma pia sang tai ma ma pia in ti kai ta pa cha nam na wir ko cha pa cha nam na wir ko cha Mama wir ko chao sangat ke pa ti sen ba pura mama kia I ti kai ta wa ne mu nai thao sai tho sai wa ne mu nai thao sai tho